Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot for tuning into Republic TV. I'm Shivani Gupta. The big story that we're tracking at this hour is, of course, India's battle to get Vijay Mallya back. Remember, the extradition hearing and the case that is proceeding in the Westminster Court in UK is nearing its final stages. There is a hearing today, and we'll take you across to London as well to get you all the latest. A joint ED and CBI team are going to be representing India's side. We've accessed inside details of just exactly India is cornering Mallya on foreign soil. How they have ensured that Mallya's assets in UK are also frozen. And of course, the big fight is to get him back to face the law in the country. Let's go across to Phil Miller, our correspondent joining us from London. Phil, we're getting to know that Mallya has left for this hearing that is all set to begin in Westminster Court. This will be the final stages of his extradition battle. Give us the latest that you're picking up.
We've just seen his barrister arrive, Claire Montgomery, the highly respected QC. Moments ago she arrived. We also saw trolleys full of case files that his defence team have been preparing ahead of this crucial final hearing today, where both sides will give oral submissions rather, arguing whether or not he should be extradited. There's all the international press has gathered here. It's set to be a very significant hearing. We've just seen as well someone from the Indian High Commission go in as well to monitor the hearing. So now we're just waiting for the man himself, the billionaire Vijay Mallya, to arrive. Any moment now we're expecting that he'll arrive. The hearing's due to start in half an hour, but we expect he'll arrive before that and won't want to cut it too fine. So there's lots of anticipation building here, waiting for this hearing, which started over a year ago when the extradition case was brought against him.
And of course, that case is nearing towards its final judgment. These will be the final presentations, Phil, that both sides will be making. And if we look at the chronology of the way things have gone for Vijay Mallya, it hasn't been good either in the UK court as far as proceedings over his assets, etc. are concerned, neither back home in India as well. And it seems Vijay Mallya is also feeling that pinch finally.
Absolutely, I think the net is really closing in on Vijay Mallya, and there are going to be serious questions for him to answer. He's the subject of a worldwide freezing order, so his assets have been frozen, and he also can't leave the UK. So I think he'll be feeling under a lot of pressure when he arrives here today. But interestingly enough, his legal team have insisted on having the hearing with him there in person. The judge apparently had favoured doing written submissions, which is quite common in these kind of cases, but his defence team insisted on giving oral submissions because they said the public interest was so strong, and they've raised these significant concerns about him not being able to get a fair trial, they say, in India, and also concerns about the prison conditions in India breaching his human rights, which of course the Crown Prosecution Service are going to try and reject. I'm just hearing now he's arriving. He's arriving in court. Vijay Mallya's just arriving in court. Over here, it's coming to you now live. Vijay Mallya. How do you feel about the freezing order, sir?
Are you intending to settle up? Are you planning to return on your own? There have been some reports of negotiations with the SPBR.
Are you going to settle, sir?
Anyone from your team has contacted Mr. Mallya. Mr. Mallya.
Are you panicking today, sir?
Why don't you just make a statement, sir? Just push back.
I have made a complaint with supporting for court before the Karnataka High Court. There are over 14,000 crores for the assets of the court. I have requested the court to tell these assets pay the land on the provision. Are all reasonable costs. Now the assets are I am in the hospital. I hope this will all end. Mallya.
So are you
Mallya, this way.
Just said that he hopes the case will go away. He's offered to settle.
to make a deal.
Sorry. You shut up.
Yeah, it's still to begin. It's not all the time.
So you would like to settle?
So they say yes, we'll have to
He's just going into court now. He just gave a very brief statement, speaking very quietly. He seemed very concerned about what was going on. He says that he's offered to settle. He doesn't understand. And he doesn't understand. Yeah, so Vijay Mallya has just gone into court there. I can't follow him into the court. Yeah. So he seems very concerned. He said he'd offered to settle and he doesn't understand why the case won't go away. Yeah, I'm giving that now. Can you hear me? So Vijay Mallya's gone into court. He said that he's offered to settle the case and he doesn't understand why it won't go away. Okay, so Vijay Mallya's just gone into court. He gave a very brief statement. He spoke very quietly. He seemed very concerned and nervous about what was going to happen today. He said that he'd offered to settle the case and he doesn't understand why it won't just go away. And he said there were false allegations against him. That's all he said. It was a very brief statement. He spoke very quietly. He seemed very afraid and quite nervous about what was happening today. He seemed very subdued. Nothing like the king of good times that many people will remember him as.
All right, so Phil, it seems there's a lot of wishful thinking going on as far as Vijay Mallya is concerned. They're speaking before the media saying that I've already indicated that I'm willing to settle. So I don't know why that these cases are still going on. He doesn't seem to understand that he's actually accused of defrauding Indian banks. So just settling is not the issue. It is about facing Indian law. And did he say that these are false charges against him?
I think he's referring to the other charges. So, like you say, aside from the settlement, there are also these serious fraud charges or allegations there, and he thinks those allegations are false. But I think he's just trying to focus the issue on the fact that he owes lots of money and that he's willing to settle that money. But like you say, the issue is much bigger than that. There are all these fraud and money laundering issues as well that I think he's trying to ignore here and obfuscate around. He seemed very concerned, he seemed very subdued, so I think he's a shadow of his former self really today.
Oh, that's right, he has been for a while as well, Phil. Right, so Vijay Mallya, once again, they're reiterating that he's willing to settle the case. Of course, this is something he said earlier as well, Phil. He's talked about giving the almost 13,000 crores that he needs to repay creditors back. Did he elaborate at all on that?
No, I seem to really just repeat previous statement that he's given on this case. I don't really think he went into the issues of the money laundering or the fraud charges apart from just to dismiss them as false allegations, which I think will probably anger many people in India. They probably won't be satisfied with that response. Certainly the Indian government isn't satisfied and they're clearly proceeding with this extradition hearing, which is about to enter into its final stages. There's less than half an hour before the court goes into session, so he's gone in about half an hour to spare. His barrister went in about 15 minutes before him, so he'll now be getting a briefing inside from his barrister. She's a very highly experienced QC from Matrix Chambers, one of the top human rights chambers, which often makes human rights claims, and I expect they'll be arguing strongly today about their concerns about how they say he won't get a fair trial in India, also concerns about the prison conditions. But I think they'll really have to go into a bit more detail about why they think the money laundering and the fraud are false allegations. He won't be able to brush it off as easily as he just did there. I think in front of the court he'll have a much harder time.
Right, of course, this is something, the victim card that Vijay Mallya has used earlier as well, Phil. He's called himself a victim of the political machinations in India and a politically motivated case and a witch hunt. Those are not excuses you can give in court, of course. And as I was mentioning earlier, Indian side has presented a lot of evidence and almost all of it has been admissible, building a very watertight case almost as far as his extradition is concerned.
Well, it certainly seems, by the look on his face, he seemed very concerned about what's happening today. He was speaking very quietly. He really seemed like he was in a daze, really, about what was happening to him.
Yes, so Vijay Mallya feeling the pressure, clearly, Phil.
Hello?
Yes, Phil, the Vijay Mallya clearly feeling the pressure because he's reiterating his settlement statement. He's also saying that he's willing to pay fast, which means he's willing to do whatever it takes to kind of get out of the cases that he's facing, try and delay whatever could happen to him as far as facing Indian law is concerned by just giving back the money, but it doesn't end there. Phil, if you can hear me, it seems Vijay Mallya is getting extremely nervous because he keeps reiterating that he's willing to pay his dues, willing to pay back creditors.
Yes, I imagine it's a very carefully worded statement he's come up with his barristers and his legal team, and they'll have advised him just to stay to that statement, don't say anything else. And they probably think that's their strongest line, that they can just say he's offered to settle and he believes the allegations are false. I think he's trying to diffuse the situation, but it seems like it's far too little, far too late. And here we are now at the very final stage of this marathon extradition hearing. It looks like now there really is no way out for him. It's going to go down to the judge's decision, and that's something he'll have to live with. He can appeal it, of course, if it's an unfavourable verdict. But I think he's going to be feeling under enormous stress when the hearing starts in just under 20 minutes.
Yes, and of course, a final date will be announced for the judgment. But remember, the High Court enforcement earlier had also given officers the authority to enter his country residence and to search or take over any goods that belong to him. And it is really this progression of events in both UK and Indian courts that has really brought Vijay Mallya down to his knees, where he continues to keep saying that I'm willing to give that back the money. That is the turn that he has made now only recently. Phil, stay with us. Let's just try and listen in once again to that statement that Vijay Mallya made before entering the court.
Why don't you just make a statement, sir?
Just put that. I have made a comprehensive settlement offer before the Karnataka High Court. There are over 14,000 crores worth of assets I have placed before the court. I have
All right, so these are the visuals from earlier. This is when Vijay Mallya was coming to Westminster Court. He obviously, as our correspondent also mentioned, has been a very pale shadow of his former self, no longer the king of good times.
Are you planning to have Are you planning to go down outside of the court process on your own?
Are you glad it's all over now? Are you intending to settle up?
Are you planning to return on your own? There have been some reports of negotiations with the CBI.
first of all,
Sir, anyone from your team has contacted the ED or CBI?
Why don't you just make a statement, sir?
Yeah, tell us what you want to say.
I have made a comprehensive settlement offer before the Karnataka High Court.
Yes.
There are over 14,000 crores worth of assets I have placed before the court. I have requested the court to sell these assets under judicial supervision, pay the banks, pay all the creditors, so that everybody is happy. The question of stealing money, money laundering are all completely false charges. And now that the assets are before the court and I am in the hands of the court, I hope this will all end.
Is it true that you might go Somalia, India,
Is it fair to say you're willing to...
All right, so there you heard his statement again. Once again, basically reiterating that he's willing to pay back the dues. And he had made that presentation before the Karnataka High Court as well. Almost 14,000 crore rupees that he needs to pay back to many creditors. But remember, India has built a very strong case against Vijay Mallya. This is about defrauding Indian banks and also money laundering, about misuse of funds that he got from Indian banks, and also India, of course, fighting that extradition battle in UK courts against Vijay Mallya. Recently, there's been one adverse verdict after another for Vijay Mallya in UK courts and in Indian courts, and which is why Vijay Mallya is now parroting that line that I'm willing to pay back that money. This is something that...
Good morning, Mr. Mallya. How are you doing today? Mr. Mallya, do you really think that it is India's conspiracy to आपको फंसाया जा रहा है? आपको ऐसा लगता है?
Mr.
Mallya,
are you planning to have
Are you planning आपको लगता है आपको justice
going outside of the court process on your own? Are you glad it's all over now?
I'm planning to what?
Are you intending to settle up?
Are you planning to return on your own? There have been some reports of negotiations with the CBI.
First of all,
Sir, anyone from your team has contacted the ED or CBI?
I cannot answer so many questions.
Why don't you just make a statement, sir?
Yeah, tell us what you want to say.
I have made a comprehensive settlement offer before the Karnataka High Court.
Yes.
There are over 14,000 crores worth of assets I've placed before the court. I have requested the court to sell these assets under judicial supervision, pay the banks, pay all the creditors, so that everybody is happy. The question of stealing money, money laundering are all completely false charges. And now that the assets are before the court and I am in the hands of the court, I hope this will all end.
Is it true that you might go Somalia, India,
Is it fair to say...
That's the statement by Vijay Mallya. Again, two clear points coming out, and he's parroting those same lines over and over again over the past few months in the hope that he'll get some reprieve from the Indian agencies. Phil Miller, our correspondent, continues to be live from outside the Westminster Court, where that hearing is about to begin very shortly. Vijay Mallya has gone in with his team. And Phil, while he reiterates his settlement offer to Indian banks and other creditors, almost 14,000 crore rupees, very shamelessly, Vijay Mallya continues to say that the charges of stealing money or money laundering are all false.
Yes, I think that has to be his line, really. I mean, he can't say anything else without admitting guilt on that count. So I think as far as the criminal charges go, he's going to keep denying any wrongdoing. But in terms of the civil matter of the debts, he is going to say that he'll settle those and hope that the other issues will go away. But I think clearly the Indian government have put a huge amount of resources into this case, not just legally, but also a lot of political capital has gone on whether or not they can bring Vijay Mallya back to India. So I think they're highly unlikely to want to drop the case at this point. I think they'll want to see him extradited as quickly as possible and facing all the charges that are being ranged against him. So I think his statement is, like I said, very carefully prepared by his lawyers. He's hired some top lawyers. Matrix Chambers used to be connected to the former Prime Minister, Tony Blair. His wife, Sherry Booth, worked there. So there's really high caliber lawyers that he's got there. So they'll have told him to stick to that statement and not admit to any wrongdoing, I would imagine. And they hope that by offering to settle, he will placate people and perhaps they might feel sorry for him. But I think there's clearly a great deal of anger at how people feel he's treated the Indian public money, and so there will be a lot of attention on this hearing today, and hoping many people, I imagine, will be hoping for an extradition verdict. But he say that he won't get a fair trial in India, and they will also raise concerns about prison conditions in India. Again, something the Indian government say they've given assurances that he will be properly treated in prison in Mumbai. But these are the kind of arguments that he can put forward to oppose an extradition. Human rights arguments particularly could have some weight. But as we've seen the UK last week, they were talking about extraditing some members of Islamic State to the United States where they could face the death penalty. So it does seem like the UK itself is taking a slightly harder line on extradition than it might have done in the past. So we'll have to see how that plays out in this case, and whether or not Vijay Mallya will be able to get a reprieve and to stay in England.
Yes. Phil, even as you bring us the latest outside Westminster Court in London, let me also just, for the benefit of our viewers, just highlight how things have gone from bad to worse for Vijay Mallya, even as he tries to, play out his last-minute gimmicks as far as getting out of the extradition and fraud charges are concerned. Remember, it's not just about paying back dues, it is about defrauding the consortium of Indian banks and also money laundering. And that's the case the Indian agencies have built. We'll get you more on that, but first, let's just listen in once again to the statement that Vijay Mallya made before the hearing.
That it is India's conspiracy to आपको फंसाया जा रहा है? आपको ऐसा लगता है?
Mr. Mallya, are you planning to have a negotiation? Are you planning
आपको लगता है आपको
are you planning to
justice
go down outside of the court process on your own?
Are you glad it's all over now? Are you intending to settle up?
Are you planning to return on your own? There have been some reports of negotiations with the CBI.
First of all,
Sir, anyone from your team has contacted the ED or CBI?
I cannot answer so many questions.
Why don't you just make a statement, sir?
Yeah, tell us what you want to say.
I have made a comprehensive settlement offer before the Karnataka High Court.
Yes.
There are over 14,000 crores worth of assets I've placed before the court. I have requested the court to sell these assets under judicial supervision, pay the banks, pay all the creditors, so that everybody is happy. The question of stealing money, money laundering, are all completely false charges. And now that the assets are before the court, and I am in the hands of the court, I hope this will all end.
Is it true that you might go to India voluntarily?
All right, so those are the latest updates from London. Let's go across to my colleague Riddham Bhardwaj, also joining us, keeping a very close watch on all the proceedings. Of course, she has covered these hearings as well at the Westminster Court against Vijay Mallya. And Riddham, once again, Vijay Mallya just coming out to say how he's agreed to settle, but calling the money laundering and stealing of money from Indian public money false charges.
Absolutely. And Shivani, let's tell you two things. Of course, we were there 10 minutes from now. The hearing is about to begin. A marathon last hearing in the UK Westminster Magistrates Court. I'm standing in the Supreme Court where, ironically, 2 years earlier, he was supposed to be present. But in the lap of luxury, he escaped. Let's also tell our viewers how the story really unfolded, how the Indian government in a joint mission worked with the Serious Fraud Office in the United Kingdom and actually got them to go ahead and pass these 4 UK court orders, which are a huge victory, a diplomatic coup for India. First, the CBI approached the SBI, that's the bank consortium. Once the CBI had roped in the bank consortium, they then told them to go with the Bengaluru Tribunal Court order and have them enforce that in UK. This is a historic first. Never has there ever been a Tribunal Court order ever enforced in the United Kingdom. That was done for the very first time in the Vijay Mallya case, and hence we believe this extradition proceeding is a rarity. The kind of efforts, a joint effort that has been put in by CBI, ED and the Serious Fraud Office in United Kingdom together in this case has never happened before. Once that Tribunal Court order of Bengaluru was enforced by United Kingdom, 4 court orders came as a victory for India. There was a world freezing order on Vijay Mallya's assets that happened in United Kingdom. There were movable properties of his in Tevin, in other places, in Bamboo Lane and others that were actually seized. They could be seized. He tried to approach other court for that in June itself. That didn't happen. There was another enforced order order that was passed against Vijay Mallya by UK courts by I'm forgetting his name, Justice Brinken, I believe. The point really is simple. The UK courts got into action only after a joint team of CBI and ED swung into action. They got a UK law firm to move and give advice and legal opinions to the State Bank of India. Once everything got together, only then did the UK courts start taking action. The kind of action we are seeing here has never happened before, and this is why we are trying to say that India has really put its might to get Vijay Mallya back. Today what's expected, and Phil, our colleague, is joining us from the United Kingdom outside Westminster Magistrates Court, is going to be massive. We are trying to expect Vijay Mallya to be brought back. Today is a marathon hearing. Earlier it was going to be a lengthy written submission, but the Chief Magistrate had then stated that I do believe this has to be an oral hearing. This is something they wanted. India wants to bring him back to Arthur Joel. Barrack number 12 is already ready for Vijay Mallya. We're seeing how that goes, but first today Vijay Mallya's team is going to get aside to present the last arguments. They are going to say 4 points in the court. They are first going to say that the jail conditions in India are not fine. There is no prima facie case made out against him. They're also going to say that this is a political witch hunt that is going on here. The second side, on the other side, the Crown Prosecution Service that is going to be representing India is going to say there was money laundering that was done. Yesterday, as a super exclusive, Republic TV broke several times over the kind of money laundering that was done by Formula One, and that was done, and it was also money laundering done by Kingfisher Airlines and RCB, Indian team, the IPL team was also given money by Kingfisher Airlines. All these elements, Shivani, taken together clearly make out one simple case. Vijay Mallya was indulging in money laundering. If that is proven in the UK court, he will be extradited back. This is not only a legal case, but a diplomatic coup for the Modi government, which has put its might behind this team. The CBI team that is being led by Special Director R.K. Asthana is already present inside the Westminster Magistrates Court.
Absolutely. The news is tightening. A series of very adversarial results and verdicts coming in for Vijay Mallya, both in India and in UK, which seems to be pointing to the fact that all the evidence that the Indian teams are presenting are having an impact. Let's listen in once again to a very, very docile, nervous Vijay Mallya making his statement once again before going in for the hearing.
That it is India's conspiracy to आपको फंसाया जा रहा है, आपको ऐसा लगता है? हाँ.
Mr. Mallya, are you planning to have a Are you planning?
आपको लगता है आपको justice मिलेगा?
Going down outside of the court process on your own?
Are you glad it's all over now?
I'm planning to what?
Are you intending to settle up?
Are you planning to return on your own? There have been some reports of negotiations with the CBI.
First of all,
Sir, anyone from your team has contacted the ED or CBI?
I cannot answer so many questions.
Why don't you just make a statement, sir?
Yeah, tell us what you want to say.
I have made a comprehensive settlement offer before the Karnataka High Court.
Yes.
There are over 14,000 crores worth of assets I have placed before the court. I have requested the court to sell these assets under judicial supervision, pay the banks, pay all the creditors, so that everybody is happy. The question of stealing money, money laundering are all completely false charges. And now that the assets are before the court and I am in the hands of the court, I hope this will all end.
Is it true that you might go back?
Troubles mounting for Vijay Mallya. This will be a final hearing of sorts as far as his extradition battle is concerned, and we could soon have a date for the final judgment as well. Trust Republic TV to keep you ahead on that story with live reporting from London. Let's slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you the political action in India. Remember, ruckus once again in Parliament as both the government and the opposition traded charges on the NRC debate in Assam. Thanks a lot for staying with Republic TV. We'll get you all the latest, not just from the Mallya hearing in London, but also the politics over the NRC in India. Let's take a quick check of the headlines first up. Vijay Mallya reaches court in London. Final hearing in his extradition case to begin anytime. He cheated India and looted public money. Brazen, Vijay Mallya says offered to settle in Karnataka High Court. In London, Vijay Mallya plays victim yet again, says allegations of money laundering against him are false. All right, so let's cut across to London once again. As far as the final hearing in the extradition case of Vijay Mallya is concerned, it is set to begin in the Westminster Court. We're getting you live visuals from London. Our correspondent Phil Miller is tracking the developments as far as the hearing is concerned. And our legal editor, Riddhimanan Bhardwaj, is also joining us to talk more about how the noose is tightening around Vijay Mallya's neck. And he continues to be very, very nervous about the process taking the shape that it is, because there's been one adverse verdict against him after another. There has also, of course, been an offer to settle. But it seems there's a lot of wishful thinking going on as far as Vijay Mallya is concerned, because Rhythm, his focus continues to be on ensuring that he doesn't have to come back to India and face the Indian law, while the Indian side has prepared and presented a very, very comprehensive fraud case against Vijay Mallya.
So I'm going to tell Shivani, our viewers, what really happened and how India really pushed to get Vijay Mallya back. It started off in 2017 in Jan when the DRT court in Bengaluru passed an order asking for recovery. The banks were given a favourable order that they could go ahead and get a recovery from Vijay Mallya. The most important part for the CBI was to ensure that this tribunal order's recovery could also be taken from Vijay Mallya's properties abroad. They had to see how an Indian court order could be enforced abroad. It's never happened before that an Indian court order has been enforced abroad. They had a foreign firm, the bank's consortium had a foreign firm, TLL, Messrs TLL in United Kingdom looked through it. A legal opinion was given to them. Through the legal opinion, it was said, have this particular order of the Bengaluru Tribunal registered in the United Kingdom. That was done. Then a submission was taken from the Bengaluru Tribunal that they could give such an order under a 1933 UK Act. It was then allowed that this particular recovery could be made. It was then given in a UK court and it was submitted. And I'm going to give out the dates because it's so crucial that such an order has been passed. After the law firm's opinion was given, it was a diplomatic coup that the DRT wrote to the UK court. After painstaking work was done on the 7th of August last year, the SBI sought consent from its consortium. After this, finally, we got 4 victories. These are the 4 victories that Vijay Mallya panicked. These are the 4 victories on the basis of which he wrote a statement. The first victory...